All right, this upcoming video, or this video, is for the experience that I had doing my benefits delivery at discharge claim, known as a BDD, through the VA. So there's going to be nothing fancy about this. Just some idiot in a car with his iPhone making a video on his experience, hopefully, or hoping that who's ever watching it can take away a few things to make up their own and apply them to their own experience. Another reason why I'm doing this video is because during my journey, so to speak, on doing a BDD, there was no real information out there. Just videos on what a BDD was or is. You know, so if you're going to YouTube looking for information on BDD, you already know what a BDD is. So I was just wasting my time. I just didn't know how to approach it. Very similar to a fully developed claim, but at the same time, very different. So basically, I'm gonna go over it again. A BDD claim is a claim that you can file for while you're still active duty between 180 days from your EAOS to 90 days from your EAOS. So for example, my last day of service was December 31st of 2023. So the earliest that I could legitimately file for a BDD claim was on July 4th, which is a holiday, not gonna happen. The last day that I had to file for the claim was October 3rd of 2023. So that covered my first day of being 180 days out to my last day of being 90 days out. 180, 90, you know what I mean. So the benefits that I found as I was making my decision to file a BDD claim was my situation on active duty versus the unpredictability of it becoming a civilian. As a civilian, I didn't know what my civilian life was gonna entail. I didn't know what responsibilities I was gonna have to get right on and start accomplishing it and knocking them out and things of that nature. While on active duty, I was already making preparations to get out. I was already going to all these other appointments and going to TAPS class and going up to admin and doing this and doing that. And I had the support of my chain of command. They knew that I was separating. They knew that I had shit to do. So it was very easy for me to just be like, hey, I got a medical appointment. All right, see you later. That was basically what I got. My replacement was already there, so I didn't have any concerns. I didn't have any pressure to, I got to get this done. I got to work until whatever. No, I had a good thing going as far as separating goes. So for me, that made it a whole lot easier. And plus I had my sister living in the area. So, you know what I mean? I had multiple support here and there. Shout out Butch. But anyway, so once I made my decision that the BDD route was the one for me, I had a lot of things to do. And luckily for me, as I was approaching this time frame, I had a lot of civilian contractors that I worked alongside with. And a lot of them had no problem telling me, hey, go about it like this, go about it like that, this, that, and the third. But one of the most useful things that they told me, whether you're going BDD or fully developed claim, is your medical records. When you go get your medical records, you go, in my situation, for example, I can either go to main side or ops side. Ops side was the primary place that I went to for any one of my appointments. So, you go to the clinic, you tell them what you need, they give you a sheet, main pedigree, name, social, DOD number, what it is that you want, your civilian email address. It's just better off that way because they send it through there, through the DOD safe or whatever the hell it's called. You fill that out, you turn it into them. In my case, it took an average of 2 weeks to get my actual medical record. So that's for that. But as far as your mental health record goes, it's not the same pool. You got to go to the actual mental health clinic itself to request those records. Now, you might get your medical records and see, oh, well, it says that I have depression and anxiety, so it should be in there. It's not. It's your diagnoses and what your current symptoms or conditions, whatever problems are, might be in your medical records, but the track record of how you got that diagnosis is not. So keep that in mind. If you have a mental health record, such as I do, you got to go to 2 different places to get these records. At least I did. So keep that in mind. And another one too, when you go see specialists out in town, for example, I had a lot of back procedures that I had to get done. I had sleep studies that I got done. Those records are not automatically into your service treatment records. So go out to those locations, to the office. Once all those appointments are done, don't get them while you're in the middle of it. Request that, because the first one might be a freebie and then you might have to pay for the other one. Go and request these records once you're done. Once your sleep study is done and over, official, go get those records. Once every single back procedure, all the injections that I got, once all those appointments were done, then I went to go get them. I didn't have to pay a dime for my sleep study ones, but I did have to pay $25 for the ones that included my pain back specialist or whatever that I had to go to. So keep that in mind. When you're accumulating all your service treatment records, keep in mind, mental health is different, service treatment is different, and all the specialists that you saw out in town are different. So you're going to have a little bit of traveling to do, and put those all on a flash drive. My service treatment records were not, my service treatment records were not, I'm losing what I'm trying to say. I'm sorry. My out-in-town records were not PDF. They gave them to me in paper copies. It's not as much as you think. They're not as long and as as your service treatment records. So what I did was I turned those into PDFs and put them in with the rest of the bunch. What I got from the service were all PDFs. They emailed me the link. I went to DOD Save, put in all the passwords, downloaded them, put them all in multiple flash drives because I'm OCD like that, and stored them all. I kept hard copies of what I could, and obviously PDFs of what was just too much. So that's that. My appointment with the VSO. I was able to go prior to my actual appointment day, which was 27 July of 2023. And they were able to create my profile, gave them all my medical records, any other substantial documentation that I needed. I even had my DD 214 by the time I had my appointment in July, and that was a good mistake from my admin that worked out in my favor. So when I had my initial appointment with the VSO, I gave them everything that the VA was going to need from me. I was lucky. So, but my appointment being 27 July, but my first day to be able to claim being the 4th of July, keep in mind that just because, for example, just because my first initial day was 4th of July, a national holiday, it still didn't mean that I was able to just walk into the office on the 5th of July and he was able to submit everything for me. It didn't work that way. Take into account the amount of people that filled up the appointments ahead of you. No different than a restaurant. You're not the only one eating. You're not the only one needs drinks. You're not the only one needs appetizers and your main meal. You got to wait. So it's the same thing. You got to wait. So you might be luckier than I was, or you might be unlucky. It depends on the area. If you're in an area like Norfolk, Virginia, good luck. but I was in a slightly smaller area of Lemoore, so it went a little faster. So, my appointment day with the VSO was July 27th. My claim didn't show up until the 28th. So, not a big deal, So after that, I pretty much did everything I could do. I gave him all the paperwork. The VSO actually looked through all my stuff, and he had sent me a list of everything that I was able to file a claim for. And it was a lot more than I anticipated. I thought I was going to, be able to claim 12, 13 things. I had like 31 things that I was able to claim. I didn't even know. So, I was kind of lucky that I had a good VSO, and he was a good VSO. And if you guys are in the Lemoore area, they're located in Hanford. So utilize them. They actually did a really good job. I always had an answer when I left, and I always felt like I was helped. I never once felt like I was being smoked off. So, keep that in mind. So I had all my claims. I okayed everything. We looked through everything. Everything sounded familiar. Like, oh shit, like I remember that. Oh, just some of those things were so minute because you're worried about the bigger things like your back. I wasn't even thinking about the fungus on my toe that I had acquired while I was in service. That wasn't even a thought. I was worried about my bigger claims. So, from the moment that I submitted everything, okayed everything, everything was good as far as everything I could do, I had to wait for steps 1 and 2 to go through. As that's the VA steps. Step 3, which was when the person gets a little bit more involved, because you got appointments now, you got CMP appointments. Step 3 wasn't reached until October 13th. And I didn't start getting calls from QTC until the 19th to schedule my appointments. All my appointments were for the month of November. My eye exam, my cardiology, my mental health exam, my the big boy CMP, the Super Bowl of it, where they just go through your back, your shoulders, your knees, your feet. They went through it all on that one appointment with me. So, I was kind of busy for the most part, and I had to stay flexible, because it's just like when you file an appointment on base. You don't get it based on when you want it. You get it based on what's available. So stay flexible. So when they scheduled all my appointments, they also emailed me, they were downloadable through your QTC account. So when they initially call you, they establish a QTC account with you so you can track your appointments. So through my QTC account, and they actually FedExed me the pamphlets. They were like these CMP cheat sheets that they had. They weren't your traditional DBQs that you find on the VA website. They were similar, but they were nowhere near alike. So I had some homework. I had to go through my medical records, all of them. Like, for example, my shoulder. When did it start? They ask you estimated time that it started, and so on. So you're forced to go through your service treatment records, and find out when it actually started, and a lot of us aren't familiar with our service treatment records as much as we think we are. Here I am thinking, oh yeah, my shoulder started acting up on me 2015, but the reality was, holy crap, it was 2007. So, brace yourself to be surprised by your own medical records and lack of knowledge of, because it did happen. It will happen. Forgive me for this. I'm looking at my notes. I'm trying not to leave anything out. So all my appointments were for November, in the month of November. But the facility that I had the Super Bowl of my appointments threw a curveball at me. The practitioner wasn't going to be in that week. So they had called me, told me that, and they said, hey, you're going to have to reschedule. And unfortunately, we don't reschedule you. QTC does. So you have to call their 1-800 number or whatever. Or actually, no, she told me they're going to call you and reschedule. Man, I said, fuck that. I'm gonna try to get ahead of this. So as soon as I got home, because they called me when I was running errands, I got ahead of it. I called them up, explained to them what happened. They were able to reschedule me right then and there. Not an appointment that I wanted, but it was what's available. So my original appointment was for the 27th of November. The next available appointment was the 27th of December. Sucked to be me. But the fortunate thing is the lady said, hey, we're not going to count this as your one allowable reschedule. This is circumstances out of your control, out of your doing. So you can continue to call and see if there's something that is closer. So I'm like, oh, all right, cool. So that's exactly what I did. So for like 2 or 3 days, I called every day, seeing what's available. I was able to get scheduled from the 27th of December to the 20th of December. Not a lot, but better than a week earlier is better than the original newly rescheduled. So I took that, and I just chucked it up as a L, because it sucks. So in regards to the actual CMP appointments, you guys can get a lot of info out there on YouTube. I'm only talking about what I went through, the nitty gritty as far as BDDs. That way, hopefully, somebody can walk away knowing maybe at least one thing that they didn't know before. There's plenty of channels out there, man. Combat Craig, that's where I got a lot of my info from. Veterans Info Tab, that's where I got a lot of my info from. A lot of veterans, contractors that I worked with on base. So, the information's out there. I'm just not knowledgeable on explaining, those things. So, after that, I went through all my appointments. I did everything that I could do on my part. I submitted my claim, went to my appointments. They didn't request anything else from me. I pretty much gave them everything they wanted or could need from me as far as a claim goes. So my last appointment was December 20th. And I got my decision on January, I want to say 18th. And I know you guys might hear, oh, don't check your VA every day. Fuck that. It takes 2 seconds. I checked it every day. Who cares? Oh, no update. Move on with my day. Not the biggest deal in the world. But based on what I saw from my experience, when you log into your VA app, a good sign that they're moving forward with your stuff is when you see that you actually have a veteran status, proof of veteran status through your VA app. Because that means that they actually got your DD 214, looked at it, saw when you first came in, saw when your last day was, that it was honorable, so that's a good sign that they're moving forward. So when you see an actual veteran status on your VA profile, that's a good sign. So my entire BDD, if my math is correct, took about 173 days. So July 28th was when the VA got officially their hands on it. January 18th was when I got my decision for everything. So, my decision to go with BDD was solely based on I didn't know what my civilian life was going to be like. I didn't know what I was walking into. I have an elderly aunt that I'm taking care of back here in Texas. She was always hitting me up. When you coming home? The Navy's had you for long enough. So I didn't know what that was going to look like. I knew that I had a lot of doctor's appointments that I was going to have to take her to and all that good stuff, but I didn't know if I was going to be able to work intelligently around what I had to take care of and what I needed to do as far as the VA goes. It was the smartest decision that I made, doing it while I was still active duty, because I had either the time off from work or I was on terminal leave. So I had the support of my chain of command. I had people that helped me out when I needed it to. I had a very helpful admin, and over to FRC West, over in Lemoore, I had very good resources that I could tap into. Sorry for the sloppiness of the video. I am not a YouTuber. I don't have fancy equipment, a fancy microphone, editing equipment. As I said, I'm just a douchebag in his car making a video that hopefully somebody can take a gem or two from to help to make a decision as far as what type of claim they're doing. Or you may not have known that there was multiple sides to acquiring your medical records, and this might have helped you out a little bit more than you thought. You know, oh, here's just this bald idiot doing a video. Oh snap, I didn't know that about the mental health side. I didn't know about the out in town records. You know, I didn't know that, you know, hey, I'm seeing a VSO. Oh, I can take stuff to him leading up to my appointment to add to my profile so that once I have my appointment, you know, it can be good to go, and I could just okay everything, sign here, sign there, and submit it, and just wait for the VA to do their thing. Because once you submit, it's a waiting game. So just think about it, man. I submitted it late July. I didn't get a call from QTC till late October. I wasn't able to schedule my appointments till throughout the month of November, and then a curveball was thrown at me saying that you have to reschedule because the practitioner's not here. So there's going to be obstacles. There's going to be a lot of waiting, but it's like we all know. If it's one thing the military teaches us, is how to hurry the fuck up and wait. So don't be impatient. It's going to get there. When, that's a different matter. But just be patient, because there's nothing you can do besides bitch, moan, and complain. You might as well just wait patiently, you know. But once you have that last CMP knocked out, you're going to have to just wait again. So even if you're bitching and moaning until your CMP exams happen, after your CMP exams happen, you're just going to have to wait again. Because it depends, I think, on the region of where you submit it, how many people are ahead of you in that type of claim. So just keep that in mind. And not only that, but you'll get back pay. So whatever your percentage is, even if you get out of service and you don't get a decision until a year later, you're still going to get back pay from, you know, X amount of time. So you'll still get yours. It's just when and how much are two different things. I don't intend on making a follow-up video unless I get some questions in the comments block of things that I may have missed, and enough people ask them, then I'll just make a video. But if only one or two people ask that question, I'll answer them individually and keep it moving. I don't expect for this video to trend, but I do hope that it helps at least a handful of people out that are going through a BDD claim and don't know what the process looks like, because it's a lot different than the 5 steps that it takes for your VA claim to get done and over with. And then there's the steps outside of those 5 steps that you got to do to acquire all your info, realize your resources, you know, go to those resources, make these appointments, go gather this and go gather that. So hopefully this video helps people out. And if there's any questions, by all means, please ask them. I'll answer them the best of my ability based on what I went through. This is not on what I think you should do. This is just what happened with me and mine. And hopefully my situation helps people plan for theirs just a little bit better. Y'all have a good one and take care.